So Great Spirit, Grandmother, Grandfather, just as I am is how I present myself to you. As I am, presenting myself, I ask for this blessing, and I give thanks for the heart that I have received, that you have given me. And when I no longer seek, when I finally surrender, Great Spirit, you will know just how I have arrived, where I have arrived to. And so there I surrender my heart, this heart that is all I have. Corazón, que es lo único que tengo. This heart that is the only one that I have. This heart that you have given me, this heart that I'm giving thanks for. The only thing I have. The beautiful, beautiful song from Colombia. But it's to be translated for us to contemplate what we have, what we hold, what we give up, what we receive. Because we look around at life and the way that we see life, the way that we are taught about human life, we think it is something of accumulation, of more and more and more. And so much that we struggle to hold it all. So much that we struggle to hold it all, and we fight to hold it because we are worried about losing it, and we don't have enough to lose. So then the question is, when will it ever be enough? And when we look around, we could assume that life is about more, and more. And the divide that creates when we take more than we give, when we have more and others have less, when we own something and afraid to lose it. Because the more we accumulate, the more we fear losing it. And the more we accumulate in this life, the more we fear the end of our life. Because in the end of our life, we'll see that we didn't have anything to hold at all. In the end of our life, we'll see that there was nothing that we really did hold. There was nothing that we really did own. All of our ancestors, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, they thought they owned something. Perhaps they gave it on in a way that it was received. But in giving it on in a way that is received is not owning, is giving and receiving. And so in Peru, the name Ayahuasca in Quechua the language, it means the vine of can mean many things. The vine of soul, the vine of spirit, the vine of death. That's an interesting thing. But perhaps it's the vine of death because quite commonly people are shown their mortality. And if us people are not shown our mortality, we run blindly, thinking we're chasing life, but really we're holding on to something that we can't hold. And so if this is a vine of death, it points to a very positive thing. It says, what do we hold? What do we receive? What do we arrive with? What do we take with us? Because on any spiritual path, on any contemplative, religious, on any inward path, any meaningful path, any philosophical study, the direction is how to live a good life. It's how to have peace in the mind, how to have love in the heart, how to have health in the body. And so if this is a vine of souls that takes us beyond the flesh and bone to the place where flesh and bone have become seen as ephemeral, seen as not lasting, seen as not concrete, seen as fertilizer for the soil. Yeah. And if we have that vision, if we receive that, if we feel that, if we find that, what we bring back to life is lightness. Because we've seen that we don't need to hold all of the things that we think that we're holding. So sometimes it feels like we're holding a lot, but the reality of it is that it's already held. And we could look at life and think that it is about accumulating more and holding more and gathering more. But if we really look at life, we could say there's nothing to hold on to. If we really look at life, we'd say that it's actually about letting go. If we really look at life, we could say the nature of life is surrender. And some people come to this place and they say, I'm afraid of letting go, I'm afraid of surrender. But if you really look at what those things are, it's the most natural thing that life is doing. The leaf falls from the tree, the ripe fruit falls from the branch, the wave lands in the ocean, the rain falls from the sky, the tears fall from your eyes. It's so natural. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. My oldest son found the rope swing. He had no trouble swinging and diving in. My younger son is a little bit cautious. He's 5. He started swinging, and he would swing out and back, and he'd swing out and back. And I was encouraging him to let go. And he says, no, I'm just swinging. I don't want to let go. I said, that's fine. You don't have to let go. That was yesterday. And then today, the same thing. He's very determined. He went and he was swinging back and forth. I said, if I go in the water, I'll catch you. You have a life vest on. Explained everything. Everything's fine. Everything is prepared for you to let go. And he was very caught up about it. He says, but what if I get in the shallow part? It goes too fast. What if I don't let go at that part? What if I hit the rocks? What if I don't make it? What if I do it wrong? And I said, yeah, letting go is hard. Letting go can be really, really hard. And so we all have a rope that we hold inside of us. And sometimes it's not intuitive how to let go of it. What this business is all about. To let life take us, to let the river flow. To not be so disturbed and bothered by the state of the world of men and women and empires and presidents and all these people that hold so much that they can't let go, that they have to make wars about it all. Because there's so much suffering in the world, but there's so much suffering in our immediate vicinity, in our immediate proximity, in our families, in our life, in our own heart, in our own mind. We wouldn't be here if there wasn't. So to be here, it's not just to call on the light, but it's to acknowledge and to recognize the suffering. Acknowledge and recognize the darkness. Acknowledge and recognize the things that are difficult to let go of. Because if we don't, we pretend like they're not there, and if we pretend like they're not there, the rope tightens. Because you're pulling away from it. Yeah. But if we just turn towards it just a little bit, a rope is made up of many threads. If you just turn towards just one thread at a time, you can take a breath. One thread at a time. You don't have to hold the whole rope. You don't have to let go of the whole rope. You don't have to do any of this stuff. You don't have to do any sort of surrender, because surrender is not a doing. We think it's some great achievement, some great act, that when I finally let go, there'll be a big splash. But the real surrender, the real letting go, it's an effortless thing. It's not a doing, it's not an act, it's just a resting into being, and then being takes over. It's like when the wave recedes into the water, it doesn't struggle. Rather than the wave struggling and screaming, saying no, the whole water just says, I've always been as I've always been. The wave was just another part of me. And so if we, like a wave, step back a little bit into ourselves, we all breathe right now. And let your presence be born, let your presence be felt. Relax the belly, relax the eyes, and soften the mind. And see that right here and now, where is the problem to be found? And if you can't find the problem here and now to be found, then perhaps you didn't need to pick it up at all. Then perhaps it doesn't need to be held all the time the way that we think it needs to be held. Whereas most of our problems, when they get in the mind loves to wrestle with them, and so that brings it front and center and keeps it up at night, swirls around the mind, disturbs our sleep, disturbs our day, disturbs our presence, disturbs our relationships. But if you step back from the mind, you just watch it, you say, presence can watch the mind trying to sort out problems, and it doesn't need to sort them out. And when you watch it, you look directly at your mind. If there's a thought there, you look directly at the thought, and what happens? It goes quiet. It goes quiet. And so the presence behind the mind is quiet. And when it recognizes the mind, we see that the truth of the mind is that it is quiet in its nature, in its natural essence. So I want to invite you to think about that. What is it like to have a quiet mind? Because here this weekend we said something we do is in the ceremony we have silence. And it's difficult for some people. Some people talk about going on a week-long, a 10-day meditation retreat or something like this, and they say, I have to be quiet for this many days. Can you believe it? And it's a huge thing. But I want to tell you the real thing about silence and quietness in retreats, in ceremonies, meditation. It's not about just not talking, because we can be quiet externally. That's easy. We just stop talking. We start listening. But the real point of silence in the ceremony, in the retreat space, is not just to be quiet externally, it's to listen and find internal silence. And that's revelatory if you find internal silence. Revelatory. And at this part of the night, perhaps you can, just for a glimpse, just for a moment, just for a second, discover or listen or bear witness to the quietness of the mind. What a beautiful thing. What a beautiful gift. And so if peace is what you're searching for, then you need to look inside, directly in that mirror, until you find it. Because you'll never find it outside. Outside is chaos. But when you find it inside, outside looks different. We won't find peace outside until we find it inside. And it begins in the mind. And when you look directly like this, when you finally find a little tiny string of the rope, a tiny sliver of moonlight that is peace in the mind, it's like a breath of fresh air. It's like a little letting go. Because in order to find peace or quietness in the mind, we have to let go of all of the other things in our mind that take up so much space and take up so much importance. You have to be willing to create space and to see that space is always there. So create space in your mind, give space for your heart, give space for your body, give space for your breath. And the part of this idea of letting go right now is, and creating space for quietude in the mind, is this really, really solid piece of advice that I'm going to give. And I hope that you take it. And it's that you don't have to figure anything out right now. This night we started a process, and for us the magic number is 3. And so whatever tonight was, whatever just happened, just put it down, let your mind rest, Notice the mind's tendency to sometimes want to figure things out and put things in place. Just let it be. Let it be where it is. You don't need to make a story. You don't need to join the dots. You don't need to fix it. You don't need to fight it. You don't need to figure it out. You don't need to fear it. And you don't need to believe it. And what happens when you don't do those things? You just let it be. And the mind can be at peace. You have plenty of time to figure things out later. But for now, while we're here with the medicine, try to be simple. You know? One of my favorite quotes by a great poet, teacher, Rabindranath Tagore, he says, happiness is simple. But what is difficult is to be simple. So try simplicity tonight to take you to bed. Here I'm extending these words, this night, these teachings, this music, as a prayer for each one of us here, for the things that we came here to do, the people we came here to be, the people that we are, the people that we always have been, the clear light of clarity that lays at the heart of each being, the light of truth, the presence of God, the proximity, that which we cannot be distant from, that which is closer than close, the heart of our heart, the light of light, the love of love that is inside each one of us. I'm praying for the illumination of that, the illumination of the beautiful things that we came here to be. Praying for your family, for your children, for your loved ones, for the ones who you came here to be better, brighter, stronger people for. I'm praying for your tears, for your laughter, for all of those things that you purged tonight. A lot of movement tonight in the room. Sending a prayer for all of this movement, making a beautiful prayer for this beautiful temple here, the hive that has held us, that has hummed with us, and that is slowly turning us into sweet honey. Yeah, bringing us together. In the Upanishads from ancient India, it says the bee collects the honey from many, many flowers. This flower over here and that flower over there they all collect from so many flowers that when they come back to the hive and make the honey can no longer tell if I am from this flower or that flower. It's just honey. And just like that, when we realize who we really are, it doesn't matter what we've done, where we come from, what we believe, because the truth is beyond all beliefs. It's beyond places. It's beyond spaces. It's timeless. It's nameless. It's formless. And it sits in all directions. Yeah. There's nowhere that you can go to be separate from it. And so when we come here, we find a lot of personal things, a lot of interpersonal things, a lot of story, a lot of shake-up. And I really want to remind you to let the mind rest and see the periphery, see from behind the mind, and see that there's a wider space that holds everything. And when you can see that wider space that holds everything rests a little bit more, it relaxes a little bit more. Presence is natural, effortless. Things are buoyant. And so I'm praying for all of the difficult things that you bring here, that they can be held. All the river of tears that we have inside of us, that it can become a beautiful river, a beautiful shower, for all of the grief. There's so much grief to feel in one life. And there's a place where we could be grateful that we have the capacity to feel grief at all. There's so much suffering. And there's a place inside of us that can have a capacity to discover how great compassion is, and we would never discover the greatness of compassion if it weren't for that suffering. And so all of the sadness and all of the tears, it can be in direct proportion to our joy, to our laughter, once we feel it, once we let it out. Because the problem is not feeling it and letting it out, the problem is not feeling it. When we don't feel it, that's a problem. When it stops flowing, we're in danger. When we stop feeling, we become numb. And we don't need to look far in our society to see how numb we have become. So I'm celebrating your tears, I'm celebrating your laughter, I'm celebrating all of the movements in the room, whether there was joy or pain, whether there was fear or love, darkness or light, whatever it is, I'm giving thanks to it. I'm saying thank you, thank you.